Hello and welcome to another very exciting episode of Bayonne Today. As in the past, I've brought you many people who grew up in Bayonne, lived in Bayonne all of their lives. Today I'm bringing you someone who's new to Bayonne. He brings an incredibly interesting perspective on Bayonne, and we met on Facebook. I would love to introduce you to my friend John Henry Soto. John, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. I'm so happy that you could come. How many blocks did you actually have to walk to get here?
Well, in this heat, it was 3, which was tough because it's pretty warm today.
Okay, so you live relatively close to Studio
close.
685.
Correct.
And we met on Facebook.
That's right.
And would you like to expand on how we met and why we've become such great friends?
Sure. Well, I'm a huge social media animal.
Okay.
You know, so I use it all for my business. For pretty much everything I do is social media. So, and I'm in Bayonne now, and
You're in Bayonne.
I'm in Bayonne. So, and I'm very community oriented. I've always loved community. I grew up in the South Bronx, where you really needed a community to kind of survive, those that were trying to survive anyway. And so whenever I move anywhere, you know, I always kind of embrace the community and find out about it and try to meet people. So coming to Bayonne, it was an interesting experience because I'm a city guy, and this is close to the city, but you still have this kind of suburban, small town feel. The parade yesterday really,
was great.
Really, yeah, it was like, wow.
All of our parades are really great.
Yeah, it was just fantastic.
The thing that's interesting is about the town, and I know you're discovering it, is that little by little, things that have disappeared in other cities and other regions almost throughout the whole country, we still have here.
Yeah,
which to me makes it
that.
Such an endearing place to live.
It is.
And for you, how did you choose Bayonne?
Craigslist.
Craigslist, okay.
Well, we were looking for places to go. And I kept seeing, I saw Bayonne, and I said, okay, you know, things look pretty good there in Bayonne. And I thought it was in Brooklyn because I'm a big Honeymooners fan, and Ralph Cramden mentions Bayonne like a bunch of times.
Okay.
So I thought, oh, it's in Brooklyn. You want to live in Brooklyn? I'm telling my wife. And so we realized, wait, it's in Jersey. You know, so we came down here, we checked it out, and it was nice. We liked it. Okay. We saw the place. The place was great. Schools and everything that we have. You know, we have a 3-year-old.
That's right. You're married.
Yeah, I'm married, and
okay.
We have a small child. She's 3 now. She was 2 when we moved in here. So it was just a nice place for me. I'm also a writer, and when you're trying to make films and writing, and in the city, you find it that you're so overwhelmed with how fast everything is that it's always nice to have a place to go to where you can kind of relax and sit down and write and focus a little bit more on the actual work, but you're still close enough where I can run in there for whatever I have to get done. So I love that element of it. And I mean, basically how we met, I was on Facebook, and I wrote something about Bayonne.
Exactly.
And it was just there were things that I saw that I felt people shouldn't put out there on their town, and I thought it was not okay, and I wanted to kind of speak up on it in a positive light, not say don't do that, you know, because it's not, I'm new, you know, but just coming from an environment where if you don't respect where you live, it gets even tougher. And so I really loved Bayonne, and I thought this is actually a pretty cool town. I said, I'm going to write something. So I wrote a little thing on Facebook, and I also have an article that I wrote for a couple of sites that I write for, and you replied. You said, you know, I don't remember exactly what you said, but it was like, right on, Bayonne, you know, it was something like that, very, very nice. So I thought, oh, that's cool. So I think, you know, we just kind of like connected through that and started talking, and then I asked you for some advice on Bayonne,
and here we are.
I'm here now.
Well, obviously this would be your first television appearance here in Bayonne.
That's correct.
But I do know that you have been involved not only in film, but also I believe in TV. Okay. So your official title, or it's a work in progress kind of a title?
Well, I mean,
act dad, what husband / dad.
Sure.
Okay, kind of in the order of importance. / actor, writer.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an actor. I'm a writer. You know, I think sometimes I tell people like what I do, and because it seems like I'm just saying, and I do this, and I type I tightrope, I walk the tightrope. I work in the circus, and I do all these things, and it feels like I'm just talking too
like
much
your commercial.
about. Yeah, like
okay.
I'm just like doing all these things. But I'm really a filmmaker. I like to tell stories, and that's what I do. And I do that through music. I do that through my writing for various places and through my films.
Okay.
So
now your music, I know that you're also involved in guitar, correct?
Correct. Yeah, I teach guitar as well here in Bayonne. Actually, I have a few students as well.
Okay. So when you came into town, you brought a lot of the talents that you have, and you're expanding on them and turning, obviously, into some things into a business venture, which is fine.
Sure.
Do you use our parks for any of the quiet places that you need to go to, or you do most of your writing at home?
Most of it is at home. I have I do go to the library sometimes when my daughter decides that she wants to do that, and but I pretty much find working at home is fine. I am looking for office spaces as well. Hopefully in Bayonne I can find a place, but generally I also work in Union City. There's a company that I work for, doing some promotion for them as well. There's a little office space there as well. And all over the place, it's wherever really I can sit down and kind of focus, and at home I totally feel comfortable at home writing, and so I love doing that.
Now you're writing right now for a specific project
that
we've talked about, which is very exciting.
Yeah, it's actually really cool. It's called Pitch, and it's something that I developed. God, I can't believe it's been this long, but it's like 3 years now. When I first came up with the concept.
It's a work in progress.
It definitely is, and I'm just excited that it's gotten to the point where it is now. I shot a film. I was a hired lead actor for a film that went to the Cannes Film Festival in 2011.
Really?
Yeah, so that was exciting, and that team called the No Name Brand Films.
Okay.
I presented this idea to them for this TV show, and they loved the idea. We got together, we collaborated, and basically we're in pre-production right now. We did shoot a couple of scenes last year just to kind of have a little bit of something in the can so we can show people and present it. But the show has been picked up by a newspaper, a couple of newspapers actually in the Bronx.
Okay.
And an award-winning journalist wrote this whole amazing piece on it with pictures and everything, and front page. It was really amazing. And so we're actually right now, we're ready to start casting very soon, and then start shooting, and then I'll be shooting.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's really exciting. And that's what I'm writing right now. I just finished my second draft of the pilot. We have actually another pilot, which we're gonna have two pilots. We're doing some strategic maneuvering, but this pilot is gonna be the one that we're gonna really shoot. It comes from my experiences growing up in the Bronx. And Pitch is basically a character who was born in the South Bronx and always has an obsession with police work and solving crimes. He's a big fan of Columbo and all these TV shows from the 70s and 80s. And he tries to be a police officer, and unfortunately there's a physical part of it. And because of my short stature, I wrote it into the series where he can't get over this wall that he has to pass the
for the test.
For the physical test. And so he fails the test, and so he basically goes back home and he works with his father in his father's bodega, a grocery store, and he solves crime in the neighborhood, but he kind of becomes the guy to go to for a local detective who's kind of his best friend, and which he shouldn't be going to him, but he does, and it kind of creates a little bit of a conflict between the police force, and the character's name is Johnny and Pitch, and there's a girl, there's a nun from the school, and there's a whole bunch of characters that...
Now, would these be people that were familiar to you as you were growing up? Okay.
Absolutely, yeah. Everybody there is somebody that I am familiar with. I mean, that's all my writing is always based on what I experienced through other people. That's what it's about. So
to me, it seems like you're a life observer, and just from our brief meetings and discussions, you have a keen eye on what's happening around you all the time. It's almost like a movie. Like life to you is a movie, kind of unfolding.
I mean, thank you. I guess in a sense I do. From a very young age, I remember being the quiet one, but very observant of what was happening in the room. And I don't know where that came from. It's just something that I do, but I do enjoy. Sometimes I'm walking with my wife and I'll hear two people having a conversation and I'll tell my wife, hold on, let's slow down because it sounds juicy. And I don't do it because I want to eavesdrop or anything. I'm just interested in that dynamic and what's happening with them. And then usually I'll get my phone and I'll speak something into my phone, or if I have a pen pad, I'll write it down to get me started on something, and I'll write about it. I'll write about it.
You'll expand on what you've heard.
Absolutely. And then you indulge on that, and obviously you create, it's fantasy, right? So I just create some aliens and whatever space monsters and just throw that all in there.
Well, so much of what I've read on Facebook that you put out there. I mean, you're on Facebook. Let's talk. We're talking about how media and how the newness of all of this crazy, fast-paced stuff.
Yeah.
Even though you came here because you wanted things to be calm and quiet.
That's true.
Your pace on Facebook is really amazing.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about how you're using Facebook and social media to open yourself up to the world.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if it wasn't for social media, I wouldn't have the career I'm having right now or the connections that I've met. That's just the way it is. It just made it easier for me to have a conversation with a casting director who's on Twitter, who has only 500 followers, who can reply to me on something, that I would never meet the casting director for Law and Order, for example. I have
and you've met that person?
Yeah, and because of social media, the pitch is all through social media. I met Brandon and Eric from No Name Brand Films through social media. They called me in for an audition. I auditioned for their film Down and Across. It got into the Cannes Film Festival. I bought them pitch. It's all a series of social media driven. So
you're in essence you're a pioneer in this new way of establishing yourself in what we used to know as Hollywood.
Yeah, I think we're all pioneers when it comes to social media. I think
that's a good point.
Yeah, I think we're all just we all have the same playing field right now, and it just gives us an opportunity to reach a lot of people. My film I have a short film that I did a couple of years ago called The Coffee List, and it's been seen by thousands and thousands of people who've seen that film, and I wouldn't have had thousands of if I didn't have social media.
Exactly.
It's a different world, and taking advantage of it is really the key thing. And it is fast. It is fast, and I'm on it a lot, and there is a balance that you have to have.
There
so
is
you
a
don't,
cutoff. Now give us a little bit of info.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can't I mean, I have a daughter. I watch my daughter. So obviously if something comes in and it's something that I see, you have to know how to judge. If a friend of mine is texting me that he just had this great lunch, or emailing or putting something out there, I'm not going to comment on or somebody took a picture of their latte. I'm not going to
with the little heart shape.
With the little heart shape.
I know, I've seen that a lot.
Yeah, and those are very cute, but I'm not going to sit there and have a conversation about this. But if there's something that I see that it's work related, I will quickly and then go back to what I was doing. My daughter is old enough. She needs a lot of attention, but at the same time, she's still capable of understanding what Daddy does, and she does see things on the videos and TV and stuff, and she's like, oh,
I can only imagine what their lives are going to be like if this is what our life is like now.
Oh,
I mean, that's all they're going to know.
And it's been so fast.
Yeah.
It's been so fast. I mean, I went to Washington, D.C. in 2004.
That's what we talked about. That was interesting. Tell us about that.
I went in 2004 it was a music convention. It was like a 3-day thing, and it was amazing to hear what was coming from people that were just really predicting, but they kind of knew, they talked about this new thing called Facebook, and they talked about this new thing that they're working on that's called Twitter, but it's not out yet. All these things, and that's when MySpace was still active. And I went home and I just said, oh, this is something. This is something, because these are very intelligent people that are talking about technology and the expansion and visionaries completely, and it was a huge panel. So it was really important that I went home and really studied as much as I could on it, and been able to do what
I
I've
guess it's
done.
all self-taught then. I mean, you just
Yeah, they are
they're-
now. Now you can go and you can, somebody there is
Facebook for Dummies.
sitting there. Hey,
Huh?
somebody's there, who's promoting his Facebook, and he's got a seminar, and he's like, come learn all about Facebook. But
Back then, it wasn't the case.
yeah, you don't have to do that. And Facebook business right now are huge for Facebook, and it just makes sense. People say, oh, Facebook, but if you have 1 billion people
It's amazing.
looking at something every single day, you got to put your business where 1 billion people are looking.
It's amazing. Now, how far-reaching have you had people contact you from? I think you said there was a woman in England.
Yeah, all over the world. I mean, I have friends in Israel, a lot of South Africa, Johannesburg.
Really?
Yeah, England. There was a young lady that wrote me this wonderful email on an article that I wrote for a site that I write for called Friends in Film, and she read this article and she just, it just something resonated with her, and she sent me this beautiful email on how she was using this in her life, and thank you for writing it, and
Wow.
and she wanted some more advice, and I helped her, and so that kind of reach is powerful, because it brings value to your work, and it's not just sitting at home writing and putting it out and hoping. It really is right there live.
When you get a
coming,
response.
yeah, it's just coming right at you, and you see, wow, people are reading this, and it's like, wow. So even your writing kind of becomes a little bit more fine-tuned because you now know.
You realize it's
Yeah,
not just
this
you
is not just me sitting
hunting and
there,
pecking.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah, so I'll go even a simple tweet or a Facebook thing. I make sure that. I mean, I have typos like everybody else, but I make sure that I go back and make sure that this makes sense. That this is actually going to get my point across. It's going to be articulate enough where people are going to get it, and it's going to help somebody. And that's really the key thing, is to help somebody.
I find that that's what a lot of your things are. I try to walk in the light and live in the light, and try, even though I'm not blinded to negative things, or things that need to be improved. I just feel that we need to go about it in a different way.
Yeah.
I feel that a positive approach kind of enables people to reach deeper,
Right.
and come up with a solution rather than to hear the constant complaining.
Definitely.
Now, I mean, you're in Bayonne how long?
2 years,
2 years.
almost 2 years.
Okay. So where do you see us going? What's your feeling about the town? Because I know you're really still kind of, you're very connected with the Bronx where you grew up.
Sure.
But when you came here, what did you think? How do you feel about the town?
I thought that there was a lot of other possibilities that can be that directions that it can go in artistically. I know that the art circle here, I've met some wonderful people at the art circle, which is a really good organization.
Which is relatively new.
Is it?
Yeah.
I mean, I've met some great people there. Andrew Sharp, who I know runs it, and a few other people that I've met. So and they're great artists here. So it's really not a matter of, where it goes, wherever we want it to go.
Okay.
And
All
so
right.
I
Well,
think
there you go.
Yeah, it's just gonna take somebody to say, let's do something. Let's do this. I mean, I'm taking baby steps in Bayonne because I don't, I'm not 100% comfortable yet just coming out and saying, hey, I want to do I want to make a concert, or or do something. But I know that that people want to do that. I feel it. I feel it happening. And I want to be part of that. And just like any community, I am connected to the Bronx. But I haven't lived in the Bronx for 20-something years.
Okay.
I lived in Queens, I lived in Manhattan, I lived a lot of other places, but I haven't lived there. I'm always connected to where I'm living, and that's
I know.
I like to make that my my thing. And right now it's Bayonne.
Well, I'm absolutely thrilled that you are here.
Thank you.
And that you're bringing a perspective that I've always felt about the town, and to look at it in a way where we're ever changing. Everything is always changing. But to me, the possibilities of what we have here, and it's just, to me, it's almost an untapped mine. When it comes to expanding it and turning it into a different kind of a place, but not changing the values that we have in the neighborhoods. I'm sure, I know the house that you're in, I actually showed that apartment. My goodness, when the original owner had it, she was a tiny little woman, so sweet, and she loved her home. the way she talked about it when I went in,
Yeah.
and when you told me where you were living, I was like, oh my God, I knew that house.
Yeah.
And I knew the feeling that the woman had when she walked me through.
Yeah,
And
it is you can tell that there was a lot of care for the
yeah,
for the house.
it's very common in Bayonne. You know, I'm
Yeah.
sure you see that in the neighborhoods and
I
in the
do.
homes. You know,
I do.
they're very well taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's always a little bit of a discussion about what's going on Broadway.
Right.
Did
Right.
you have business areas in your town in the Bronx that kind of
Well,
went-
I mean, I'm from the South Bronx in the 70s and 80s, so the South Bronx in the 70s was just completely decimated. I mean, fires every night, and you know, I always tell the story. I remember as like 4 or 5 years old, I used to push a chair to the window and climb up. It seemed like almost every night to see the fires.
really?
I didn't know what was happening. I just thought that the fires were cool, and you see the firemen,
part of
and
what
it was part of
happened.
what happened. And it seemed like almost every night some building was burning down, and it was that was all through the 70s, and in the 80s, crack and all those things just completely took out a bunch of. So I mean, I've seen communities go. So I mean, for me to walk down Broadway and say, "Oh my God, this is terrible,"
You don't
I
feel
can't say that because of
Okay.
what I've seen. At the same time, the reality of people that live here is different. So
Exactly.
I can't say, well, it's not, you know. But you know, for the businesses, for me as someone, I mean, I have a production company, and when you have a business in 2014, it's a little different. You know, I think
Yes.
I keep saying it, and I'm going to keep saying it. Social media is where you reach out to people. It doesn't, you know, walking traffic is great if you're on Times Square, you know, but even in Times Square, I bet you all those guys have social media going for them.
So they're in other words, you're saying to use it to drive business.
Yeah, you have to.
To where you want it to be.
You have to, yeah, because I mean, if you're relying on walking traffic, it depends what your product is, obviously, right? But if you're a clothing store, a shoe store, well, yeah, you should definitely be on there because people are, you know, somebody's Googling shoes in Bayonne, and that should pop right up.
You're absolutely right, because I've had a couple of different businesses in town on the show, younger people, and the perspective on how to go after business and how to get business is so different than when I had my business.
Right.
And when I was president of the business district back when we were all trying to just keep reinventing the wheel the same way.
Right.
And then all of a sudden everything flipped so
It
quickly.
just changed fast, yeah.
You know, and now I see the internet, I see how the ease of purchasing an item. You know, back in the day, I mean, you would never consider taking your credit card and swiping it through your phone, and the different things that have happened now.
Right.
But that's really driving business and driving the future.
Yeah, I mean, they do spend a lot of money on protection for, you know, credit card fraud. It is always a concern, obviously, but it's just that's where you have to put your business is where people are going, and you know, and it's changing so fast, and it's so it's such a huge snowball if you don't
If you're
latch
not
on.
in there,
Yeah,
yep.
you're it's
Get
gone.
lost in the sauce.
Yeah, so
Now, the thing that I'd like to talk about is that you weren't always doing what you're doing right now. You made a decision not too long ago.
no,
Tell us about that.
okay.
Because anything is possible now. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've always been a musician, you know, from the age of 9. I've always played, and that was always kind of what I thought was going to be my future, and to a degree it is. I still play and I teach, and but you know, when social media came and it just changed things a little bit. We had some loss in our group as well, and so that kind of went to the side. But recently, you know, just
Tell us. Come on. Now, you were working.
2013.
You were working for.
Well, I don't want to say the
sports-
place.
No, don't say the name.
Oh.
Sports clubs.
Oh, okay. I think you're
Okay.
gonna say the name.
No, not the name.
Only because I didn't have like a great experience, and I don't want to.
No, but
say
the
it, but-
point is, you changed your life.
I did. I worked in health clubs for 17, 18 years. And when I moved to Bayonne, I said, well, there's a couple of places here in Bayonne that I might try. And I did try out one, and it just wasn't the right fit for me. You know, I'm a little bit more direct in management style. I've managed these clubs. And when you're managing a $20 million facility, you can't be soft. And I was just a little bit, it wasn't my fit. And so I remember doing the numbers, you know, sitting at home, and I'm kind of just calculating, I get paid this, This is what we pay for the babysitter. This is what I pay for. You know, I walked to the place, so it wasn't no transportation, but lunches and all this stuff. And I was like thinking to myself, this is what I'm making. I'm like, why am I doing? So I spoke to my wife and I said, you know, this is what I really do. This is what I, you know, and up to that point I had been, you know, I had a film at the Cannes Film Festival. I had my own film, and I was kind of like crawling, you know. And I just said, last year, 2013 in February, I just said, that's it. I'm not going to work for anyone else anymore. I can't do that anymore.
Did those words come out easy?
No.
No.
No, it was like, yeah, I don't want to work. Yeah, it was kind of like that for a few times. No, but I mean, I think my wife, you know, helped me and to reach that point. We both run into the same kind of like, not fears, but concerns with
the future.
The future, and where is this paycheck going to come from, and blah, blah, blah. So we just decided that, you know, we're going to do that, and she totally was. And since that moment, I have to tell you that my whole world opened up. I found a really great agent that I work with now. I found amazing projects that I'm working with. I booked a couple of major commercials, and it was just making that decision to be who I
really wanted to be.
Yeah, who I actually was. You know, not even wanted to be.
Okay.
It's that who I was, and I was just pretending not to be that thing.
Oh, I like the way. I like that.
Yeah,
I like that a lot.
Yeah, so I just decided that, and it just completely opened up our lives. And
well, I'm very happy that you've come to Bayonne.
Oh, thank you. It's my pleasure. I love it.
Allow us to be part of the opening up of your life.
Thank you.
I would hope that anyone who's watching the show would kind of go on Facebook and take a look at what you're up to.
Sure.
Comment. You know, we'll take positives, we'll take negatives.
Absolutely.
But it's all to me in view of creating a better place to live and a better place to thrive, and a place where people can believe in their dreams, which is what you've done.
Absolutely.
And I have to say,
John Henry Soto at Facebook, Twitter, everywhere you can find me.
Well, listen, everybody. We love Bayonne, I love Bayonne, and now we have a new person who loves Bayonne. Gotta love Bayonne. See you again soon.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
It was fun.
That was great.
It was really fun.
Yeah.